Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Self-Publishing Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Sutton. I'm here with my good friend, Sandi Trevino Rae. She is the author of On the Other Side, a brown girl's journey to find hope through depression. We're going to be talking about her book, her journey. Sandi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, I have been an occupational therapist for over 25 years, working in mental health and pediatrics, and currently I'm actually teaching. I'm a faculty and a program director of an occupational therapy program. Love it. I'm biased because I love OT, but yeah, it's been my life for quite a long time now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually, so I'm a physical therapist. For everybody that doesn't know that listens to the podcast, I talk about it all the time, but this will be one of the first episodes you listen to. But for what you don't know is Sandi, actually, one of our professors tried to get me to switch to OT in school. And, I was working on building a splint a couple of weeks ago, and I think maybe I should have switched to OT because I like building things.
If you are building splints, you should be OT. That's right. I would love it.
Awesome. Well, Sandi, tell us a little bit about why you decided to write a book.
It's a really good question because it's kind of been something in the back of my mind as I would go to different group events or Bible studies or just talking at different women's retreats and things. I would bring up a little bit about my journey and what I'd gone through. And almost 100% of the time, someone would come up to me and say, "You got to write this down. You got to write this book. You got to tell your story. You're going to touch so many people." So after hearing that a number of times, I kind of started thinking maybe they had something there. We're all very critical of ourselves. I'm thinking, who's going to read my story? Who's going to want to know about it? But if that many people were coming up to me and saying, "I absolutely would buy that. You need to write this. You need to publish this." I started really thinking about it. So I put pen to paper. I did it old school first. And I found that, it was really touching people's lives.
Yeah. How long did it take you started writing it? How long did it take you to write the book from start to finish?
You know what? I did it in short spurts because I'm working full time and had kids at the time. But it probably took me a good 3 to 4 years of actually making it something. So I'd write down different ideas that would come to mind. And I'd be on a plane and I'd write it on a back of a, what bag. But I'd write it on whatever was near me. So because something would come to me and I didn't want to forget. So I would write different blurbs here and there and then put the puzzle pieces together with some old journals that I had from some of those really dark times, high school, college. And I thought, oh, that has to be part of it. So really, I would say probably 3.5 to 4 years putting those puzzle pieces all together and really making it into a formal book.
Love it. I love it. I want to reiterate something that you said is it took you 3 to 5 years because you had kids and you had a job, you had all this stuff. And so, there's all these people out there just saying, hey, you can write a book in a week or a weekend or whatever. And you can, but you don't have to. So that's not your story. You had other things in life and you kind of wove that into your life.
I did. And I really wanted to make So maybe you can do a book within a week, a month, or whatever, but is it going to be authentic to your story or are you just following somebody else's format? And I really wanted it to resonate with my journaling, with my poetry, with really what I was about and what I was going through. So that takes time. That really takes time to do a good job. So for me, it took a couple years.
Yeah, good. I love that because there's really no right or wrong way to write a book. It's your story.
Yeah. Right.
So I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but I just thought about it. And I like to do this to people.
All right.
We've talked about before with your book, like it's just such a personal thing to you because it's your story. So how did that feel sharing your life in your book?
You know what? It's one of those things. I'm a pretty private person. A book that talks about my journey. So my dirty laundry is out there. So for me, I had to kind of get over it and just really take a look at why am I doing this? I had to remember my why. So for me, if I'm woken up in the middle of the night and I'm hearing it's not about you, it's really about your reader, then I have to really put that aside and realize that it's not about me. And writing was very cathartic and very healing. So as I was doing it, I'm thinking if this could actually be healing or provide hope for someone else, again, not about me. It's just a journey that I have to put down on paper for somebody else.
Yeah, I love that. It's a servant leadership. It's a servant's journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is.
I love it. What do you think has been the most rewarding thing for you so far? I know we're right here in, pre-launch and getting ready to launch your book. It's launching actually today as this goes live. But what's really been kind of the most rewarding part so far?
For me, I'd have to say it's been this personal journey. So I put it down on paper, but I was so glad to connect with you because as we go through this journey together, I'm digging into parts that I didn't even realize that I was going to be digging into. So in terms of like looking at the book cover, in terms of how I was going to put my journal entries in there, my poems in there. And so you guiding me and just me really digging into me, I did not expect that. And
Yeah.
what a fun discovery to go, no, you've got this, girl. You can do this because there's no way. I thought, author? Yeah, right. Published author? No, no, no. But so that's been a wonderful discovery for me is that it was all in there. It's always been in there. And it just took someone to come walk alongside me and kind of cheerlead me to go, yeah, you can do this. You can do
Yeah.
this. So that's been wonderful. What a gift.
I love that. Oh man, I love that. That's amazing, Sandy. I love that you said that. It's funny. So full disclosure, Sandy and I have worked together on her book, and one of the things I loved about this, and this is why I love self-publishing, and really, I guess we could call it independent publishing because we're not
Mhm.
you didn't do it alone. I'm not doing it alone. I got a team. You've got a team. But one of the things I loved about this process with you is you had this book cover kind of in your head, and then George and I brought these two covers to you, and you're like, no, and they were amazing. I loved the covers, but they weren't you.
Correct.
And so I love that you said that. No, this is not me. Not, no, they know what they're doing. No, this is not who I am. I want it to be me. Why was that so important to you?
Because it's my story. And I think that's the main reason I went self-publishing because I didn't want someone telling me, nope, those journal entries are too dark. Nope, that poetry is not going to work. Nope, nope. Because that's what I was going through at the time. And that's what really resonated in my life during that, whether it was dark or looking for hope. But yeah, those covers were wonderful, but I knew they weren't me. And so I decided right away at the very beginning, I'm not going to settle. This is going to be something I'm going to be proud of and make sure because it's totally me. And I'm not frilly. I'm not, I just had to make it me. And so, yeah. And I appreciate it because you were open to that going, nope, she really wants it to be that. And you respected that. So
Yeah.
that was a great thing.
That's what I love about independent publishing, self-publishing is like that's why you don't go traditional. Like cuz you
Correct.
can't control all that. Like we control
Correct.
this. We do whatever we
Mhm.
want. We talked about that several times. What do you want to do? Do whatever you want. Like it's your book. So
Yeah.
I love it. What do you think about the process? Just kind of take us through that for somebody that's either in the middle of it right now or wants to do it. What was that process like? Was it always fun?
No, no. I would love to say, yes, every moment was a joy. No, it's not because I'm having to rewrite. Just starting, let's just go with the writing first. I'm having to rewrite. Does this make sense? I can't write like I talk because that's not going to work. So I had to make sure that it kind of flowed and did it relate to other people. I also, because it's my story, have to be very respectful. It's my story, not my kids' stories, not my family stories. So I had to be respectful to make sure that that process was smooth and I wasn't putting anyone else's story in there because this is mine. Then when I'm going through the editing process and the formatting with you, that's all one of those things that you have to give up control. And you kind of go, nope, I have to trust the professionals in that. So that took a little bit going, oh, this is my baby I'm handing over. Are they going to just dress them up really ugly or are they going to make it look pretty? So I'm hoping there's a nice little bonnet and booties on it, but you never know because I'm trusting the professionals. But so that took a little bit, but it has been more joy than not because the struggles that I've been feeling is all about me thinking, oh, I've got to give this up. Well, guess what? Yeah, you do because you don't know how to do this. So you hire professionals to help you along the way. So yeah, it's definitely been way more joy.
I love that. It's funny. I when I started helping people with books, I had to go through that process, Sandy, where like I was making covers and I'm like, I'm not a cover designer. These covers
Mm-hmm.
suck because I don't know what I'm doing. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to have people. So I love that you're talking about that. What
Yeah,
tell me, tell listeners, who is this book for?
that's a great question. I would say the reason I wrote it was because I was going through a really tough time. So I would say the reader is either going through depression, anxiety, or they know someone that struggles with some mental illness. The other thing is you don't have to have something clinically diagnosed to have a bad day and to try to find hope. So I would say it's for the reader that, like I said, either they've struggled with some mental illness or they're just having a bad day and trying to find hope. The other person it's for, or the other reader, is towards the end of the book, I actually add some coping skills. I add some journaling prompts. I have some how-tos in there. And so that's for anybody that really is searching to try to better themselves. And so that's where the self-help part comes in, because I find when I'm writing, that relieves my stress. If I've got some deep breathing or some coping mechanisms, I've got that in my toolbox to kind of, when I am having that bad day or that rough time, I've got those to go to. So I hope I answered your question. It's really for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. So
I love it. No, you answered perfectly. So I want to get into just a little bit. I want to give some people a little glimpse of this because I've read the whole book. The first half of the book is your story. The second half is coping. And so for, guys listening, you don't know, Sandi was a mental health. She is an occupational therapist and worked with people with mental health. And then she was in the mental health ward. She was in the psych ward. And tell us a little bit about how that felt. Like, you describe it so well in the book, the door closing, you don't have your shoes on, you don't have your phone. Like, tell us, just give us a little snippet of that.
Yeah. So as an OT on a psych unit, it's very different. I'm coming in and out of that clanging door multiple times during the day because I'm going to leisure groups or social skills groups or cooking groups, whatever it might be, with my patients. So did I ever notice a number of things around me? No, I was really focused on my patients. So now switch. I now have a struggle and I'm actually a patient on a locked psych unit. And the things that I realized, those OT glasses were off now. Now I have the patient glasses on. And the clanging of that metal door behind me, locking, it's like a rock concert in my head. You know how it just clangs? I never noticed that before. Now, I also never noticed the sounds of the booties because I wear Converse a lot, or shoes with ties, and you get that taken away, get belts taken away, shoelaces taken away. So the booties that you wear on the tile floor and that shuffling sound, I never noticed that before, but all my patients had them on. I also never noticed like that Lysol-y kind of bleachy smell. I'm walking in and out of that unit all the time. Never noticed that sterile kind of smell. So there were just so many things, sensory overload, so to speak, of this whole new world that I had worked on for years. And not only that particular one, but different places too. But they all kind of had the same thing because they were locked units. I never noticed any of those things when I was an OT. As a patient, I'm taking all this in. And it just felt like this is a whole new world that I've never seen before, which was very far from the case. But as a patient, brand new world. Wow.
Yeah. I love that. I love that because you go really into detail in the book and it's just like, oh my gosh, like I can see what you're in the corner going, oh my gosh, what happened. I love that. And it's funny. I want to highlight this too. And this is not what the podcast is about. It's about self-publishing stuff, but like, guys, mental health, it's out there, and it's funny because I'm looking at you, Sandi, we're talking and I've gotten to know you over the last several months and you're just such a pleasant, always happy person and pleasant. And your voice is just pleasant. You're just always just have that jovial, but like we can all struggle with that.
No, for sure we can, and that's one of the things that I really want to accomplish with this book is to remove the stigma. Because Jeremy, if your leg is broken, you're not going to walk around and just go, you know what, it'll be fine. No, you're going to go get treatment for it. Right. And the same thing with mental health. If I'm really suffering with anxiety or depression or whatever it might be, instead of saying, no, it'll be fine, or I'm too embarrassed. Yeah. Look at me. I'm this trained professional. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I am struggling. And I had to remove that guilt, that shame, that embarrassment, and just go, nope, it's not about the stigma. I need to get help. I need to do this not only for me, but for my family as well. But yeah, it's one of those things that, especially this month, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it is critical. Those of us coming out of COVID and just all the struggles that we've gone through, it's really hit us in a different way. And I think it's important to know that go get help. Just reach out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I've struggled. I never knew I had anxiety or anything. I knew depression big time in PT school because it was really dark, especially my last semester. But like we had our own business, and I was like, my wife said, I think you need to go get on something for your anxiety. And I was like, I don't have anxiety, but I did, and it's like my whole life just changed. I'm like, oh, I can function now.
Yes.
And it's like, but especially as a guy, I was like, oh, I don't need any medicine. I'll be fine, but you're like, oh no, my family's happy now. I'm not walking around like a grizzly bear all the time.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, guys, please go get help if you have any kind of issues. There's nothing to be ashamed about at all.
For sure.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the tips part of the podcast. Sandi, give us some tips. Like somebody, there's people out that's going to hear this today on the day your book launches. Hopefully they're going to go buy your book. Go buy Sandi's book, please, on Amazon. On the other side, A Brown Girl's Journey to Find Hope Through Depression. But there's somebody out there that's going, I want to do this. I want to write a book. What are some things you would love to say? Hey, I wish I'd have known this, or here's 3 to 5 tips. Do this.
Yeah. I'd say leave doubt outside the door. Just do it. Start writing. And for me, I needed the paper pencil or paper pen. And then I went onto the computer. So whatever works for you. But just start putting some ideas down. Don't worry about what it looks like now. It's not going to flow. It's not going to be paragraph by paragraph and APA format. It's not going to be any of that. It's going to be your ideas. And the other thing I will say is make sure that you schedule it in. Treat it like a job. Because if you go too many days not doing it, you're losing touch with that job and you're going to get fired, so to speak. You're going to lose that passion and that fire behind it. So just write. Even there are some days that I would sit down and I'd write, I don't know what I'm writing today. I don't know what I'm writing today. And then I don't know what I'm writing, except it's going to be about, my depression. Or I don't know. So at least you're writing, and that'll fuel it to get you going towards writing something of content. And again, nobody's grading it. No one's looking at it. It's just you putting down some notes, and then you start putting the pieces together, and then you get some clarity, reread some of the stuff you wrote in the beginning and go, oh, that stinks. Or, oh, that's actually pretty good. Right. So you'll find some of that. And it's just about honing it down to making it something that you think, yep, that is reflective of what I want it to be and reflective of me.
Yeah, I love that. You'll finally see yourself in your book, and you'll see your book.
Yes. Yep.
That's great advice. I love that you say don't worry. Just start writing. Let's start putting something down and schedule it. I think that's been one of the biggest things that everybody said. I've done about 40 of these episodes now, and it's like, hey, you have to schedule this out. It doesn't just happen.
Correct. Yeah.
One of my mentors, who I'm going to interview, I think next Tuesday. But anyway, Greg Todd, he said, if it's not in your schedule, it's not important to you. That's the truth.
Good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So if you're not putting writing in your schedule, you don't want to be a writer. I read an article today that said you have to have 30 books to make 6 figures as an author. I think 30 books. So guys, you can't write 30 books if you're not if you're not doing it.
Correct. It's not scheduled. It's not going to happen.
Not scheduled. Yeah. So, and anyway, awesome. Sandi, thank you so much for talking about your book. We can go to Amazon.com and find Sandi's book today. May the 24th is when this is going to launch. Her ebook is already on sale, so go pick that up as well. And it's a very special price this week only at 99 cents. Her ebook is, so don't wait a week. Go buy the book today. Go buy it today. Hey guys, go buy the book today. Sandi, if we want to find out more about you, what's your website so we can go find you and get to know you?
Yeah, that would be great. I'd welcome it. It's Sandi Rae, SandiRae coach.com. SandiRaeCoach.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Sandi, thank you so much for letting me interview you. I loved it.
Thank you. This was great. It was a pleasure. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe. For more inspiring conversations like this one, I invite you to join my free Facebook group, Book Boss Tribe. If you're ready to write your book, I want to invite you to book a free call with me or sign up for my free course. You can get both of those at Linktree/bookboss.